Is your thing on? Is it on, the volume? This table is a bad table. This thing needs to be removed. Okay, I think we are almost ready now. Me, I've been ready for the last 2 hours.
So we are already on air.
There's no problem. Which media house is that? Oh, Diamond. Wonderful. I thought it was KBN.
Okay. Kevin. Okay. Yes. Okay, how is that? How is that? Okay. Yes. Yes. Standing by.
Let's have our phones on silent. Thank you very much. Good morning, countrymen and women and the youth of our country, and you are joining us from the Ministry of Information and Media, where today, the 3rd of July, 2025, Thursday, we would like to update the nation on a number of decisions and resolutions that the Cabinet made yesterday at its sitting, the 12th Cabinet meeting held on Wednesday, 2nd July 2025. We also take the occasion to ventilate on a few issues that the nation may be expectant of us to pronounce ourselves as government, which include a cause by some stakeholders for the resignation and or impeachment of President Hakainde Hichilema on alleged or purported violation of the Constitution. Able to comment on the alleged Bill 7 collapse and caused by some stakeholders such as the Law Association of Zambia to urge the executive or government to withdraw Bill 7 completely. And the nation must be expecting us to comment about the current status of the proceedings relating to the former president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, currently in the hands of the courts in South Africa. So we begin with the with the cabinet decisions. The President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, called for the 12th meeting in the year 2025 on Wednesday, 2nd July, at State House to mainly deliberate on legislative and policy matters. Cabinet approved the following. 1. Deployment of security personnel to areas infiltrated with illegal mining activities. Cabinet approved the deployment of defense and security personnel to counter illegal mining activities, where illegal mining of gold and other mineral commodities has been identified across the nation. Cabinet has observed that there is an increase in illegal mining activities in various mineral commodities such as gold, manganese, copper, sugilite, tin, and lithium, which are mainly exploited by artisanal and small-scale miners. Illegal mining has resulted in the proliferation of other illegal activities such as smuggling of minerals from Zambia, pollution of the environment, as well as the influx of foreign nationals into our country. Illegal exploitation of minerals has also brought about exploitation of local people, for instance, through lower prices for their mineral commodities as opposed to regulated international market prices. The areas identified by Cabinet include Rufunsa, Kasempa, Mpika, Mumbwa, Lusangazi, Chisamba, Chivombo, Luwano, Lumezi, Chadiza, and Vubu, among other parts of the country. Cabinet has also emphasized the need to heighten formalization of artisanal and small-scale miners, including issuance of mining licenses, to local communities through formation of mining cooperatives, so as to increase participation of local people in the mineral value chain. Number 2, legislative matters. A, Anti-Gender-Based Violence Amendment Bill 2025. Cabinet approved in principle to the introduction of a bill in Parliament to amend the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act No. 1 of 2011 in order to improve enforcement and accountability by clarifying definitions of gender-based violence, GBV, offenses, establishing specific penalties for perpetrators and strengthening enforcement mechanisms. The Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act in Zambia is a key piece of legislation aimed at preventing and addressing gender-based violence in the country. However, the Act requires amendments to ensure its effectiveness and relevance in addressing the evolving nature of gender-based violence. Further, the amendment will ensure the survivors of GBV have access to a wider range of support services, including medical care, legal assistance, psychological or psychosocial support, and law enforcement, including provision of more robust protection orders to prevent further violence and harassment against survivors. B. The Zambia Institute of Procurement and Supply Bill 2025. Cabinet approved for publication and introduction into Parliament during the current sitting a bill entitled the Zambia Institute of Procurement and Supply Bill 2025. The objects of the bill are to continue the existence of the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply and rename it as the Zambia Institute of Procurement and Supply and redefine its functions, promote and enhance the procurement and supply profession, and provide for registration of procurement and supply professionals and procurement of supply firms, and regulate their practice and professional conduct. The Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply Act number 15 of 2003 is inadequate in regulating procurement and supply professionals. Therefore, there is need to repeal the existing law so as to promote and enhance the procurement and supply profession, and promote and enforce international best practices relating to procurement and supply professionals in the Republic. The nation will know that issues to do with procurement have been at the heart and core of the presidential agenda to transform quick service delivery to the nation based on three principles: cost reflectiveness, quality assurance, and timely delivery. These three pillars, it is expected, should be mirrored in the new law in order to enhance the quality of service that the government will be providing to its people, particularly with government coming up with the expanded CDF, wherein now there are concerns from various quarters about the inertia by the spending agencies, in this particular case, the local authorities, to expedite the utilization of those resources and in line with processes that should deliver services that reflect value for money. C. The Cotton Bill 2025. Another bill approved for publication and introduction into Parliament during the current sitting is the Cotton Bill 2025. The objects of this bill are to continue the existence of the Cotton Board of Zambia and redefine its functions, reconstitute the board of the Cotton Board of Zambia and provide for its functions, provide for the stages of grading and classification of seed cotton, establish a price consultative forum, and provide for the establishment of seed production zones in Zambia. Cabinet has observed that the Cotton Act number 21 of 2005 is inadequate in addressing the challenges faced by ginners and producers of cotton, which could severely impact the growth and sustainability of the cotton sector in the country. The bill, once enacted, will enhance the regulation of the production, ginning, and marketing of seed cotton by ginners and producers in the cotton sector, so as to address existing gaps and align with international best practice. And in approving this particular resolution, Cabinet, through the guidance of the President, is mindful of the soon-to-be commissioned Kabwe Mulungushi textile, and that the laws that are coming into force now should be cognizant of government's policy of value addition and giving preference to local manufacturing of goods that can be locally produced for domestic and local and international supply and or consumption. D, the Lands and Deeds Registry Bill 2025. Cabinet also approved the publication and introduction into Parliament during the current sitting, the Lands and Deeds Registry Amendment Bill 2025. The object of this bill is to grant the Chief Registrar the power to cancel a certificate of title. Cabinet has observed that currently the Lands and Deeds Registry Act, Cap 185, provides that registrar has the power to correct an error or omission in a register where the registrar, on application by a person, is satisfied that an entry was made or procured by fraud or mistake. However, the Act does not expressly provide for the cancellation of a certificate of title that is issued in error or fraudulently. Cabinet has also emphasized the need to provide security of tenure to property owners, increase revenue collection for the government, and contribute to socio-economic development. Cabinet is cognizant of the fact that land, particularly land held on title, is an economic factor that should be placed premium upon in consideration of economic activities in the nation, because it is used in transactions such as borrowing capital for investment. Cabinet also was and is cognizant of the fact that the present requirement that only the courts of law can cancel title deed is too long and sometimes takes too much time due to the court's clogged diaries, leaving parties to a dispute relating to land on title continue to wait while their asset remains unutilized for purposes of business and economic entrepreneurship. E, the Teaching Professional Bill 2025. Another bill approved by Cabinet for publication and introduction in Parliament during the current sitting is the Teaching Profession Bill 2025. The objects of this bill are to continue the existence of the Teaching Council of Zambia and redefine its functions, reconstitute the Board of Teaching Council of Zambia and redefine its functions, regulate teachers, their practice and professional conduct, and provide for the administration of licensure examinations. Currently, the Teaching Profession Act 2013 is not comprehensive in regulating the conduct and practice of the teaching profession because the Act has two parallel disciplinary structures for teachers in the private and the public sector, which has made it difficult to enforce professionalism in the teaching profession. Therefore, the bill, once enacted, will introduce licensure examinations in order to enhance quality, assurances, and professionalism in the teaching profession, and to provide a single disciplinary structure for all teachers. I must also make mention here that during the same cabinet sitting, the President has directed the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to review certain fees that are payable to various institutions in those ministries relating to graduates who have to pay even when they have not yet gotten employed. They have to pay certain fees for which your government has received concerns about. We will be able to update the nation in respect to that review process and what Cabinet will finally decide after that review of those two ministries are referred to Cabinet for consideration. F. Superior Court's Number of Judges Bill 2025. Cabinet approved the Superior Court's Number of Judges Bill 2025 for publication and into Parliament during the current sitting. The object of the bill is to prescribe the number of judges for the Supreme Court, Constitutional Court, Court of Appeal, and the High Court. The Superior Court's Number of Judges Act number 9 of 2016 provides for 60 judges of the High Court and 19 judges of the Court of Appeal. However, there is need to increase the number of High Court judges to 100 and the number of Court of Appeal judges to 31 so as to address the backlog of cases in the High Court and in the Court of Appeal. Cabinet was and is cognizant of concerns raised and submissions made that the number of judges for the Court of Appeal should be the same as those of the High Court so that it can represent the ability of capability and capacity by the Court of Appeal to absorb the volume of cases that may be referred to the Court of Appeal in terms of appeals made. Cabinet held the view that not every High Court judgment delivered ends up into an appeal before the Court of Appeal, and therefore it is expected that the 31 number of judges for the Court of Appeal are sufficient to handle the case load that may be brought before them, especially given that the work in terms of appeal depends on the case record of what has already been determined by the court below. G. The Small Claims Court Amendment Bill 2025. Cabinet also approved the publication and introduction into Parliament during the current sitting, the Small Claims Court Amendment Bill 2025. The object of this bill is to revise the jurisdiction of the Small Claims Court Currently, the Small Claims Court Cap 47 of the laws of Zambia restricts the jurisdiction of the Small Claims Court and does not respond to the prevailing circumstances or demands of the moment. The said restrictions on the Small Claims Court has resulted in the Small Claims Court having a backlog of cases that can properly be dealt with by the same court, considering the prevailing economic and social needs. The limited jurisdiction of the Small Claims Court, coupled with other operational challenges and the need to align the legislation with other recently enacted laws, has necessitated the need to amend the Small Claims Court Act Cap 47 of the laws of Zambia. Therefore, the bill, once enacted, will result in the enhancement of the jurisdiction of the Small Claims Court, alignment of the Act with other existing legislation, and reduction in the backlog of cases that are before the subordinate courts. H. Occupational Health and Safety Bill 2025. Cabinet approved for the publication and introduction into Parliament during the current sitting the Occupational Health and Safety Bill 2025. The objects of this bill are to continue the existence of the Occupational Health and Safety Institute and redefine its functions, reconstitute the board of the Occupational Health and Safety Institute and redefine its functions, and provide for the establishment of health and safety committees at workplaces. Currently, the Occupational Health and Safety Act No. 36 of 2010 does not adequately regulate the health and safety of persons at workplaces. Therefore, there is need to repeal the Occupational Health and Safety Act No. 36 of 2010 so as to adequately regulate the health and safety of persons at workplaces. I. Issuance of the Access to Information Regulations 2025. Cabinet approved the issuance of the Access to Information Regulations 2025 in order to operationalize the Access to Information Law that the National Assembly of Zambia passed. Cabinet is of the view that these regulations will make it easy for the general citizenry to access information of public nature from public and relevant private bodies, and that access to information is necessary for the purposes of promoting a culture of self-restraint among public officers, preventing corruption in government, preventing the spread of misinformation and or falsehoods, and generally reducing criticisms against government unnecessarily, most of which is as a result of lack of information, which now the populace are able to access lawfully. It is expected, therefore, that once the statutory instrument to give effect to the same has been signed, these regulations will come into force. Number 3 of the items: ratification of the international agreement establishing Shelter Afrique Development Bank. During the meeting, Cabinet also approved the ratification of the agreement establishing Shelter Afrique as a multilateral development bank. The agreement